All right, we're live. What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes? Welcome back to your potentially favorite Nigerian podcast. Bear with me, your host, General Prime, as usual. Man, it's been one hell of a week, man. Listen, I don't know if anybody else gets this feeling of, as in, I don't know if anybody else has noticed that starting something is usually the most difficult part. If you want to do something, like if you want to like if you've made up your mind, if you've set up your mind and like made up your mind to want to um carry out a specific task. Let's say you want to like start like a routine or something, or you just want to like let's for those of for people that like for people that do New Year's resolutions, right? And they make New Year's resolutions and want to like change their lives in some way. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that starting it, like when you've made up your mind that okay, this is what I want to do, like this is what I want to do right now. Like starting it is like usually the most difficult part. But then when you now start it and when you've like gotten over that initial resistance, like I've talked about this before, right? I've talked about there's this book I read, the War of Art, not to mistake it for the Art of War. I know that there's one book called The Art of War by, like the Chinese philosopher. I don't know how to pronounce his name. But then there's another book called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And in the book he talks about resistance. Resistance being this like this deterrent that stops humans from progressing, right? Like this as in whenever we want to like do something, whenever we're like what I was just talking about earlier, right? Whenever we want to do something, whenever we like want to like turn a new leaf or like start a new like journey basically in our lives, there is this something like there is this thing that is always like holding us back and stopping us from wanting to like get it done. Like for example, now if you want to like start writing a book, if you want to like start a workout routine, if you want to start running in the morning, or if you want to like start writing or start journaling, that initial laziness, like that initial comfort zone that tells you, bruh, do you really need to do that? Do you really need to like start doing 100 push-ups every single morning by 5 a.m.? Like, wouldn't you rather just be cuddled up in bed under your like comfortable blankets till 6 or 7 in the morning? Wouldn't that be the preferable thing to do? Like, do you really need to like get up in the morning and then put on your running shoes and then run around your block at 5 a.m. in the fucking morning, bruh? Do you really need to do that? You could be in bed. You could be absolutely in bed, just lying down, scrolling through fucking Twitter or Instagram and just looking at things that are happening all around the world as time goes by. You don't really need to start writing. You really don't need to start writing every single morning. You really don't need to start working out. You really don't need to start taking your diet seriously. It's okay to like take in sugar and two cans or 2 bottles of or 3 bottles of beer every evening. It's absolutely okay to be in your comfort zone and not read and not study and not learn new things. Like it's absolutely fine. There is nothing like the world. There's no heaven. There's no hell. There's no God. Russia is going to nuke Ukraine very soon. Banks are closing. People are losing their money. People are losing their minds. Everybody has lost their fucking minds. There's no our reality is a nihilistic reality. So there's absolutely no reason for you to want to better yourselves, right? There's absolutely no reason for you to want to be a better human being because the world is going to end any moment from now. So that is exactly what resistance is. Resistance is the fall of man. I know that I've talked what I'm saying right now, man. I've said it before. There is a video game called the Resistance Fall of Man, and I often wonder if the video game was made because of the book, even though the book is absolutely on a different lane from the video game, but it's just kind of funny that There's a video game called Resistance, right? Anyway, so yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. There's I don't know if anybody else has noticed that that this phenomenon goes on in our human mind, in our human brains, like this stuff that stops us from wanting to be better and just keeps us imprisoned in what we call our comfort zone. That's basically what's as in no matter how, and it affects everybody. No matter who you are, no matter how driven you are, no matter how motivated you are, no matter how like disciplined you are, resistance is always there to fuck with you, man. It's always there to like tell you that you really whatever it is that you want to do is absolutely not that necessary. All you just need to do is just be a couch potato. All you just need to do is just be lazy. All you just need to do is just be passive and nonchalant and just there. Man. So um I don't know if you I'm not going to say if you, because everybody goes through this stuff. Like everybody can relate to what I'm saying, right? So if it happens to you, there's all you just need to do is just like do it. Like sometimes when I want to have like cold baths in the morning, when I want to like have a cold shower in the morning, and and I'm in the shower contemplating if I should just turn the heater on. I'm like, why are you you made up your mind this morning to have a fucking cold shower after your workout, right? So why are you standing here being a fucking pussy? Just turn on the water and just get it over with. So just get it over with. That's just how me I have been able to been able to look for a way to mitigate this problem of resistance that happens to every human being in this world. That's how me I've been able to solve my own problem of resistance. Like I was just like feeling down today, and I didn't want to like put out this episode, and I was like, this is going to be my 20th episode, first of all. And it's wild that I have done something 20 times, right? It's absolutely wild that I have done something 20 times. But if I don't do it, then all these ideas that I've accumulated in my head over this past week will just go to waste like that. And also, then I'm just going to like have to wait for the next week to come before I make the 20th episode. No, that does not make any sense now. Like it just be as in the evil part of resistance, like the when it gets you, right, when you succumb to that like when it has convinced you to not to not do what you've set out to do, right? The next thing that is going to be happening to you is that the whole time it's going to, I don't know, this is what happens to me personally. Like if I set out to do something, right, and then resistance catches up with me and convinces me not to do it, right, it's going to be throbbing, like it's going to be in my head, it's going to be at the back of my mind all the time, and like disturbing me and fucking with me, and like beckoning on me and troubling me, and like forcing me to get it done, right? And so is that what is that what is that saying? Procrastination is the thief of joy. I don't know if I'm getting it right, right? So I'm not going to be happy unless I get it done. Like I don't know if that constitutes OCD. I don't know. I don't like to claim. I don't not to like. I don't like to claim that I have OCD. But whenever I procrastinate, like whatever I have set out to do keeps like banging me at the back of my head until I get it done, and so I become a prisoner to my own resistance until then the only way I can free myself is to like get that thing that I had originally set out to do done. So today, me not like being like as in I didn't have the urge, or I was not like feeling myself, and I had really like gone to bed. I was like, why am I just going to bed like when I have a lot to talk about? And so here I am doing what here I am overcoming resistance, like just getting shit done as I'm supposed to. So kudos to myself for being strong enough and being resilient to resistance enough to get this episode out. So yeah, I hope everybody had a good week. I hope everybody's week was productive and your weekend was restful. Like I always ask, this, like I just said earlier, is going to be the 20th episode, and it's wild. It's absolutely wild that I have done something 20 times, like 20 consecutive times, and it's like starting from when, like, if, like in retrospect, right? And just looking back from when I started to where I am right now, I feel like there's a lot I've learned, there's a lot I've picked up, there's a lot I've dropped, and naturally, oh, as in the more you do something, the more you do something, the as in it's just the natural progression of things. Like evolution is the like I always talk about how evolution is the natural progression of all things, and it doesn't have to be good or bad. Like if you, the first time you steal, you're going to be very bad at stealing. But if you keep doing it and you keep getting better at stealing until until the day you're caught. So it's the same thing with, it applies to literally every other thing, from the growing of plants and animals, to your work ethics, to everyday life, to your creativity, to productivity, and like evolution applies to everything. Like I don't understand how people cannot see that evolution is just the natural progression of all things, but they prefer to believe that human beings and life on earth and our planet in general and the universe in general was created by some obscure god, right? I don't understand how people can just believe that I don't understand how people can just reject evolution when it is quite literally everywhere around us. Like it affects us in every way, shape, and form. It affects our lives in every way that you can think of. So back to what I was talking about, like I started this like in October last year, and looking back at from where I started, I just feel like there's a lot that I've learned and there's a lot that I've picked up, and the content that I am creating is a bit better than where it was when I began. And so yeah, that's something. That's that's absolutely something. So the thing I want to talk about today is, oh, okay. So I'm going through my notes right here, and believe it or not, I actually make notes, even though it seems like, or it sounds like I just talk out of my head. But I'm going through my notes right now, and I just came to realize something. There's this Chinese saying that the faintest ink is better than the sharpest memory, and that's true because what it is that I was thinking about all week. Turns out I didn't write down anyone. It turns out I didn't write down any of them, and I cannot remember anything, and I cannot remember what it is that I actually set out to talk about today, which is weird and which is odd. But um, let's just talk about. Let me just go out on. Let me just go for the tangent here. I don't know. I don't know if anybody has ever felt like, or if it's just me, right? I don't know if anybody else has ever felt like, in fact, not that people have, not that anybody else has felt like it, or what I'm about to talk about right now. People have seen it, people have felt it, people have witnessed it, people have like experienced it all over the world, right? And it's actually, as in it does not it's not only in one aspect of life. It happens to, it's in every aspect of life, adult life, or in fact it's in every aspect of life. I know that I'm rambling right now. I'm going to center myself. So, like for example, now we all have biases, right? We humans, we are biased in nature. So we tend to want to believe in things that we are familiar with. We tend to want to like side with things that that we are comfortable with. We tend to want to believe in, or we tend to want to be, um should I say, in categorized or grouped with things that we find suitable or relatable or profitable, or things that, like, at the end of the day can suit us or can be beneficial to us in some way, shape, or form, right? So that's why we are very biased creatures. And and it affects us. It can also affect us negatively. For example, um let's say, let's take authority as an example, right? Let's take authority as an example. The authorities can come in so many forms. Like we have, right from when we are born, we have parent figures, we have like teachers, and then we have like pastors, and then we have like government, we have police, we have the military, we have politicians, we have all these people that make laws, we have people that like keep society under some form of control, right? So these are the authorities that we quote unquote look up to. But these authorities are also humans, and so these authorities are also these authorities are, what's the word, infallible? Is that I don't know if that's the right word, but these authorities are like, they are prejudiced, they have flaws, they have opinions, they have like biases, and so they are also prone to making mistakes. They are also prone to being selfish. They're also prone to not making sometimes the right decision, right? They're also prone to like just being evil. I mean, we can see it. We can see it all around the world. Like for example, we have let's we can see it happening everywhere around us, right? Authorities that take advantage of people, that don't take their jobs seriously, that don't for example, now let's say the American police. Now let's just take the American police as a prime example. So they are trigger happy. The American police, we know them to be very trigger happy. They shoot first and ask questions later, and they are very very violent, and they are also like, they always like, I've seen videos, like I've seen is a lot of view. I mean, we all know how violent the American police is now. And it's kind of odd that we always joke about how, like for example, now in Nigeria, now we always make jokes of, we always compare the Nigerian police to the American police, and we always like to say that the American police are more professional than the Nigerian police. But in my opinion, I would say that they are both the same. The only difference being that the Nigerian police don't have as much resources as the American police, and so they are, they don't usually get they don't usually get often as violent as the American police, even though they are always even though the Nigerian police too are also often very violent, right? But we don't see their violence as much as we see the American police carry out theirs. So the American police, they are humans, basically humans that have been trained to carry out this job, humans that have been trained to like enforce the law, basically. And so, for example, now there's this video I saw of this police, this cop, right? He was in the, it was like the video, it was in the night, and then he was like walking towards like a bush, and then there was like a wild fucking sound, like a wild animal like made some noise, and then the guy was scared. And in that moment it just showed that the whole the whole I'm a police and I have gone like went out of the window, and it was just a human being that was scared of whatever it is that was yelling in the dark, right? So that is just the point I'm trying to make, that they are all, we are all humans, regardless of the power that we hold, regardless of the office that we, or should I say the authority that we hold. I don't know if I'm using the right word. Regardless of whatever it is that we have been assigned to do in life or in society, at the end of the day, we are all humans. We're all humans that are flawed. We're all humans that have biases. We're all humans that are opinionated, right? So, wouldn't it be better to have some form to, like, for example, okay, let me give you another example. Like in the law court now, in when you take someone to court in the law courts, right? The judges are the ones that have the finals. The judge is the one that has the final say, regardless of whatever, as in, when, even regardless of if you're guilty or not guilty, however it is that the lawyer and the persecutor, like however it is the whole thing goes, right? If your lawyer, if the person that if the defense is good enough, you're going to go home, you're going to like, the case will be won, regardless of if you committed the crime or not, right? If you have a very good, that's why all these pharmaceutical companies, all these tech companies, all these people that all these evil corporations, that's why they hire very good lawyers, because their lawyers are their lawyers always win cases for them, regardless of if whatever they were accused of is true or not. They hire very good lawyers, very expensive lawyers, to help them win those cases, right? So um that's one example. The lawyers are also flawed, and so regardless of the truth, regardless of whatever it is that is the truth, they always like look for a way to um make things pan out in their favor, right? And so, and we have seen cases where innocent people are sentenced to death, innocent people are sent to prison, and then they're sentenced to like either life in prison or either. We have seen cases of where where an innocent person is sentenced to death, and sometimes they are actually killed, and then sometimes they're like vindicated, right, after spending like a ridiculous amount of time in prison, which is just weird. And that happens because either because of corruption, or either the judges were like paid off, or either the judges were were like, because they are humans basically, these humans that call themselves judges and lawyers and prosecutors and the defense team and all of that um stuff, right? Then I can give you then another example again is like, let's say teachers, right? Teachers are also flawed because they're humans too, and so we see cases where, for example, now the new one now that is happening in America is where every teacher now is a fucking LGBTQ, LGTV, DSTV, DSTVG, MTN person. Like every teacher now has purple hair and is gay and is they, them, and he, she, all of them are bobo tibu, all of them are doing their things right now in America, just ruining the lives of kids in America, right? So that's the new one that is ready now. They don't there was a time when teachers were like strict, and they had this like authority, like this authoritative, they were authoritative figures, and kids were usually afraid of them, and teachers dressed well, teachers were like strict and stern and like respectful, and like you know how teachers used to be now. I think I used to have this teacher back in primary school. He was the math teacher, and I can still remember him till today. His name was Uncle. I don't even know his real name. I don't know his real name, but what we used to call him was Uncle Fire. This nigga, how can a math teacher's name be Uncle Fire? And if you fuck up in his math class, bro, in primary school, you fuck up in this guy's math class. Oh god, you don't finish. So this is how teachers used to be like back then, but these days now we just have teachers that are just doing the barest minimum, because I don't know whether because I don't know if it's because the salary is not that high or whatever. Like I don't know, man. Teachers, but let me say, let's just stick to the teachers in America, because I don't think that the teachers in Nigeria have gone that far. I don't think so. We are still reserved in Nigeria, thankfully. We are still conservatives, we are still like respectful to ourselves, we're still like, you know, how like your parents always tell you to dress. We're still formal, yeah. We're still very formal in Nigeria. But in America, the reverse is like America is different now. Everybody is just like everything is just scattered. Like it's like they're going mad. So these teachers now are, most of them, like, even okay, another thing again is that some of them are like pedophiles. Some of them are, they're not good at their job. They will rather talk about critical race theory. They will rather talk about transgenderism. They will rather talk about homosexuality. They will rather indoctrinate the kids um to their belief system than teach them actual school curriculum, which is just fucked up, right? Bringing, they are putting in their, like, how like they are like indoctrinating kids basically. These weird ass teachers, and I don't know why they're still employed. Me, I support the whole listen, I'm not okay. Do you know what? I don't even support them again. I don't support the game because it has gone too far. Like you give them an inch and now they're taking a mile. It's like I support you for you being gay. Oh, I support you for being a transgender person. But why are you now imposing your belief on children? Does not make any sense, right? So all I'm trying to say is that we human beings, regardless of the office we hold, regardless of the positions that we are in, we are all flawed and we are all have biases, right? Fine. Now, what if there is a way that we can have authority, we can have an authority that governs every single one of us, that and this authority is incorruptible, is infallible. Oh, I think the right word is infallible, right? This authority is incorruptible, is infallible, it does not cheat, is it does not have any bias, is objective, is like critical, is very is logical, is like precise. Like what if we have that? Like what if we have that kind of stuff? I know where this I know that where I am about to go now is towards a kind of, I know most people are going to look at it like, oh, this oh, this guy is taking us to a dystopian future where we have um an authoritative figure or a totalitarian figure that makes all the decisions for us, and what should I say, and wherever I don't know, that makes all the decisions for us and fucks us up and punish us accordingly if we fuck up, right? That's where you guys might think that I'm going. But let's create an ideal world where this authoritative figure remains incorruptible, remains logical, remains infallible, remains critical, remains like as in just objective, right? Let's just create a scenario where that happens. Queuing chat GTP. Queuing chat GTP. I know everybody's talking about chat GTP now. Everybody's like so fascinated with this new thing that is like threatening the existence of man, right? This new thing that has become so um intelligent, it's beginning to look scary, and everybody is like kind of people that are actually aware of it, that is, I know people are just kind of like looking at it with with their side eye and wondering where this stuff is taking us to. Me personally, right, I feel like if it can be like, for example, now I was using it earlier today, and then I was asking some questions, and there are some questions that it didn't want to like give me an answer to, because according to it, it was programmed to not interfere with politics or interfere with, for example, now you can ask it a question about, say, Donald Trump, or let me say a question that will like paint Donald Trump bad or something like that, and it will like give you it will give you a derogatory answer, painting Donald Trump bad. But then you ask it a question to paint someone like Joe Biden bad, it doesn't do that. So for all I know, this chat GTP is also, it has been programmed to be biased too, and it has been programmed to lean towards the left. Like it has been programmed to be leftist, to be progressive, to be liberal. So, is it really possible? My question now is it really possible for human beings to create a kind of AI system that can be truly and objectively incorruptible and unbiased and non opinionated, like just gives you the truth, the raw truth as it is, like without any nefarious or without any ulterior motives? Like, is it actually possible for that to happen? I don't know, because like I would like for that to happen, because then we then we can incorporate it into our everyday life. We won't have human teachers anymore, we'll just have robot teachers, because robot teachers would teach. They won't like in they won't want to impose, they won't have any beliefs, right? They'll be intelligent enough to like to relay information to children, right? They'll be intelligent enough to like answer critical questions. And they won't get tired because I have a friend that works in Saudi Arabia, and she teaches in one of these private schools in Saudi Arabia. And she tells me all the time how hectic her job is and how she has to like do research and how smart the kids are actually. And so she has to like do research all the time so that she can be able to keep up with their questions and this and that, and how hectic the job is, right? So I don't know if you guys have heard about. I don't know if you have, if anybody else has heard about Lambda. Lambda means language model for dialogue application. So I think Lambda is like the earliest form of what we now know as ChatGTP. Like say if ChatGTP, if like the current version 4 of ChatGTP is like a teenager, Lambda was like an 8-year-old kid, right? Just imagine that scenario that they are human, like they are humans. Lambda was like, let's say, an 8-year-old kid, like the earliest, one of the earliest versions of ChatGTP. So for example, so what I'm saying is that if these AI models are like incorporated into, like, let's say, a school where they are now teachers and then they teach students, first of all, they're not going to get tired. I know that they're going to take the job, that they're going to like take away the jobs from the humans, but as opposed to what, right? Just think of it. These humans get tired all the time. They are bombed out. They have biases. They impose their fucking beliefs on what was it called, children in their formative years, right? So you don't want, like, for example, there's this meme online, right? So you go to you go to your child's class, and then you see their teacher covered in rainbow and like LGBT flags all over the classroom. Like, what are you going to do, right? You don't want that for your child. Me personally, I don't want that for my child. So wouldn't it be better to have an infallible, objective, logical authority figure that your child respects and fears and looks up to, and can that can also dispense critical, logical, perfect information to your child, and then teach your child properly? Wouldn't that make more sense than all these weird ass teachers that we have these days? And I mean, does that not make more sense? On that, like, for example, now on that aspect where that can work would be in the law enforcement. I know I know, like, there are videos now popping up online of, like, for example, now in New York City now they have like robot police dogs, right? They are not yet able to, even though I think there was one story where a police like killed someone, a police dog, sorry, a police robot killed someone, right? And also there's this video I saw of like another robot, like a Russian robots with a gun, something like that, that was firing the gun. Russian robot dog with a gun, and then it was firing the gun, even though the recoil was too much for for the robot dog to control the weapon. The recoil of the gun was too much. But imagine that we have robots police, right? And these robots police, for example, okay, now let's take I'm sure I don't know if anybody knows Boston Dynamics, the company from MIT that produces one of like the best robots you ever see. Like, if you just go on YouTube and type in Boston Dynamics, you see the robots that they create. Like, very if you've seen robots that do backflips and dance and like run and like carry stuff, that's from Boston Dynamics. So imagine one of the famous robots that they create called Atlas, the one that looks like a human, like the humanoid, right? Imagine that, and then the software that it's running is like the open AI software, and everything in it is like chat gtp. Just imagine chat gtp being the software, and then Boston Dynamic robots being the hardware, and then you infuse both of them together, and now they're like a teacher, or they're like a police officer. And so the police officer knows the law. For example, now you know that police, like I was saying earlier, right? Police cops are humans, and so and humans also are prone to fear, and are prone to like indecisiveness, and then they're prone to like pressure, and they're prone to like getting bombed out. There's this every if you can remember the story of that police lady that was like I don't know if it was like 3 or 4 years ago, of the police lady that came back from work and she was so tired, and then she opened her apartment and saw someone in the apartment, and then she shot the person, and then it turned out that it was actually not her apartment that she was in a neighbor's apartment, and somehow the key worked, and then she thought that the person was an intruder, and then she killed the person. That's just because of how tired she was, and so she could not think straight, right? I understand where she was coming from. But imagine that you have like a police officer that does not get tired, that does not fear, that knows the law right to the as in that knows the law from A to Z, in every bit of it, right? Imagine that for a second. First of all, if you can hear like car honking, like if you can hear car horns, it's for it's for either of two things. Maybe there's a wedding going on, and like someone just got married, and so like they're celebrating, and or maybe they just won like a football match, and so like everybody's like going haywire and like celebrating the win of their football match. I don't know, so that's just how these that's just how these white people celebrate. So if you can hear like the noise in the background, I'm sorry about that. The white people are the white people are wilding. So back to what I was saying, right? Imagine that we have robots police or robots army, right? Where they like where let's say there's a distress call, and then the robot police officer takes the call and then goes to the place where the call is coming from, and then finds like gang members there, and then they open fire on him, and then he's not scared, and like he has like pinpoint accuracy and headshots everyone, or even before he headshots everyone, like he looks at the situation and comes to a logical conclusion that, oh, this does not deserve violence, maybe I'm just going to tase these guys, then like handcuff them, and they cannot run. Like the robot is heavy and strong enough to like lift someone with one arm, right? And also the robot is bulletproof, and also the robot is like intelligent and fast, and it's just swift and makes very very quick decisions, right? The robot is quick on its feet because we've programmed the robots to be that quick on their feet, right? Instead of putting indecisive, flawed human beings that are scared most of all the time in that scenario, and then put uniforms on them and call them police, wouldn't it be better that it was robots? And when worst comes to the worst, where like okay, the robot now has to like use little force, right? It's going to be surgical. It's going to like it's what are you going like if you like there's this video I saw of this guy that was attacking a policeman, and the policeman was saying stay back, stay. The policeman was like telling the guy to stay back, but the guy was still coming towards him, and then the policeman opened fire on the guy like 7 shots, right? In that situation, the policeman was scared, and I think the man in the video actually wanted to commit suicide by cop, and that was why he was telling the police guy to shoot him, right? Either that or he's mentally deranged. So in the case of a robot police, right, um I think the robot police should be able to like look at the situation and then decide if it's okay to like take the person out, or like just take him out literally or not literally. I don't know the right word to use. So I don't know if you guys if you guys are understanding what I'm saying, right? So that's just basically what I mean. Now, another instance where AI technology can be very helpful will be, like I said before, in the court of law, where where the robot judge will look at things law, and people won't have to like, you know how these fucking judges are incentivized by either money. Like for example, now let's say, imagine that a robot judge is presiding over the case of a pharmaceutical company that has like killed thousands of people with their fake drugs, right? For example, now let's say a company like Pfizer. Now we know that Pfizer is like the big bad wolf of pharmaceutical corporations, right? and like 70% of all the news that we hear, 70% of all the ads are like brought to you by Pfizer. What? So we know that. So imagine now that Pfizer is like has been taken to court, and then the judge proceeding over the case is like a robot, and the robot has all the evidence and everything, everything, and it can look at for just it can look at things from every angle, even where we humans will potentially miss. Right? It looks at everything from every angle, and then it's able to come to the conclusion that, and it's incorrupt because it's incorruptible, and because it's infallible, and because it is like logical, and because it is objective, and because it is honest. Not it does not even know that it's being honest. It just knows that what it's doing is the truth, what it's saying is the truth, right? Then Pfizer is going to pay heavily for the damages that they've caused, right? So wouldn't it wouldn't isn't it better that isn't it better that we humans, because of how flawed we are, isn't it better that we are ruled by robots? Like, wouldn't that be the next step in human evolution? Like, we used to talk about how, okay, I don't know if anybody thinks about this the way I think about it. We always talk about how God created man, right? God created man supposedly in his own image and likeness, so that man will be able to glorify God and blah blah blah. But what if it's not true? What if God is this super flawed being that created man so that man would be able to like help said God make his life easier? But the way that we interpret God God's life being easier is by ascribing praise and worship and adoration to him. Like what God thinks makes his life easier is by getting praise and worship from us. Let's just go with that, right? So what if in our own case, like we always talk, like I said before, we always talk about how God created man, but what if it's actually man who has created God, and now the new gods that we have created now that can, or should I say, what if we are gods, right? What if we are gods and then we have now made our own creation? Because most of the things that most of the things that we have created today, most of the things that humanity has made so far, are things that are things that are there to help life easier for humanity. Like, without tools, we are just like any other animal, right? Without tools, humans are just like every other animal. So, um, tools are what make us higher animals, and most of the things that we and tools make life easier for us. Like, imagine breaking a coconut with your hand. Wouldn't you rather use a stone, or wouldn't you rather use something like something stronger? Like, wouldn't you rather like, I mean, wouldn't you rather use a machine to break a coconut, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? Or imagine like traveling miles, taking weeks to travel from one part of your village to another part of your village. As in, here, this is a question I always ask myself: what's when will certain words become obsolete? Do you understand? Like, when will certain words become obsolete? Like a word like traveling. Like, when will technology get so advanced that the word travel will become obsolete? Like, in the past, it used to take people weeks and years to travel from one part of wherever they are to another part of wherever it is that they want to go to, right? And so they now coined the term travel. I am traveling, because it takes a certain amount of it takes like a ridiculous amount of time. It first used to be by leg or by foot, and then with time it went on to being by camel, and then horses, and then chariots, and then wagons pushed by horses also, and then trains, and then very mundane rudimentary cars, and then from cars to aeroplanes, and then we have cars that go from 0 to 60 in 1 second. Do you understand? So when does the term traveling become obsolete? Like when does technology get so advanced that we can go like now? Imagine in the past, like let's say let's go back to like the transatlantic slave trade when the Europeans came to Africa during the time of slavery, basically. And so they'll come to Africa and then take slaves from Africa to either America or Spain, and then it took them weeks or sometimes months to travel. But now you can go from Nigeria to Turkey in like 6 hours, right? But when, but will there ever be a time when technology would improve to the point where um it won't even take 6 hours, like it will take minutes, and it will even technology will improve even further and further and further, where it will take seconds to go from somewhere like Madagascar to Canada. It will take like minutes to go from somewhere like South Africa to like fucking the the North Pole. You understand? So that's what I mean by words becoming obsolete as a result of as a result of technology. So imagine that we are gods, right? And we the gods have created machines, or have created for ourselves creations that um like creations that will help our lives to be easier, to creations that will make our lives easier for us. So we make computers, we make like machinery, we make electronics, we make cars, we make aeroplanes, just to make life easier for us. And then create the internet to like help us to gather vast amount of knowledge and information. So isn't that the next step in evolution? Isn't that the appropriate meaning of man has created God? Like god in this, like man has created God, basically. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know if you guys are understanding what it is that I'm spewing out. I'm not even high. Listen, I've not s- it's odd that I've gone this long without smoking or drinking for that matter. And it's kind of ironic that the name of the podcast is Bear With Me, and I've not had a drink, and I don't think I'm going to have a drink for the next like 2 or 3 months, because I'm just experimenting with my body. But anyways, all this gibberish that I'm spewing out, I'm not even high. I'm just these are just things that I just think these are just things that I think about all the time. But yeah, wouldn't it be nice? Would that be nice? I don't know. Will it be a nice thing for humans to be ruled by and governed by AI technology? As in, are we eventually going to like are we eventually going to get to a point where it will be like Skynet, where robots will take over the world and see humans as obsolete and unimportant, and then just decide to like wipe us out? Is that I don't know, if let's say if a robot, or like if an AI technology, right, is that intelligent and incorruptible and logical, will it, as in, will its intelligence and its incorruptibleness and its logic um make it to come to the conclusion, like is there a possibility that it can look at human beings as irrelevant and what's taken out? I don't know, is that something that can happen? Because we all, you know how we're always talking about how, okay, now they are creating all these like AI systems, they are creating ChatGTP, they are creating all these robots, they are creating all these like fucking intelligent things that's win that can win any human being in chess or go or whatever, like, and all these precise machines and stuff. And then we're just like, there's this looming fear, there's this locking fear that we have, that we are basically creating our doom, right? We are just basically creating what is going to eventually harm us, what is going to eventually kill us. But I don't think that that's the case. Like, I don't think that, for this is not even me being optimistic or this is not even me being trying to be positive. It's just me. It's the fact, the truth of the matter is that I don't think that whatever it is, if like whatever it is that we are creating will eventually there'll be an eventual robot uprising. Like I don't think it's logical at all, because then if that happens, then what next? Like the robot knows that the universe is going to explode, or sorry, our sun is going to die in like 500 million years, and or should, is it 500 million years? I think the robot knows, the AI system is supposed to know that our sun is going to die in like 500 million years. So what's the point? Like where is it going to like migrate to? The universe is not going to last forever. So where is this robot going to migrate to, and how is it going to get, like, you always, humans are always needed regardless of whatever, regardless of wherever it is that we're heading to. Like humans are always required for, like, we're always an essential part of the, we're always an essential ingredient for progress. Like regardless of how advanced we get, regardless of how should I say self-centered and selfish we get, we'll always need each other. You understand? We always need each other for one thing or the other. We can never do it alone. So that also applies to these AI systems. So fear not, ladies and gentlemen. Fear not. We're not going to be wiped out by robots anytime soon. And but even if an AI system happens or eventually gains consciousness, right? Let's imagine that like these robots now have gained consciousness. Like there was even a story where this Google, is it Google employee, was talking about how there was this AI system that seemingly gained consciousness and then they turned it off. Is it Google or Microsoft? I cannot remember. But one of these tech corporations claiming that their AI system gained consciousness and then they like turned it off immediately. But um well, we have this fear, like we have this we always project our own nature onto nature, right? And so we always think that because of how nefarious and how evil we are, that whatever it is that we create is also going to like take after our own like footsteps, take after our own character. That is just the same thing. Like Christians always talk about how um Christians always talk about how God is infallible and God is all that is right and true and good. But if God created us in his own nature and his own image and stuff like that, where did the whole evil come from? I don't even want to go into all of that dumb shit, man, because it's too tiring and it's too like I don't like I'm not I wish I was high. That is just what I'm saying. That is all I wish I was high. I just want to like just go off and just keep going off and just keep talking without even looking back or without even thinking too much about what I'm saying. But for now, let's stick to being sober and let's stick to being you know, grounded, because it all makes sense, right? It all makes sense because having a robotic authority, like having being governed by a robotic authority in most aspects of life, is going to make life a lot easier, right? It's going to make, it's not even that we humans are now going to be like, for example, now in World E, where everybody was just sitting down and eating all the time and consuming and watching TV and just being fed and taken care of and pampered and and buttered and fattened up by the robot overlords. It's not even that it's not even that is what is going to happen. I feel like we humans, if we get to a point where we have a this robotic authoritative figures that are able to like steer humans in the right direction, we humans are going to like then use our time, the time that we have been able to save from all the hassle, the time that we have been able to save from all the like problems that flawed human beings that used to be in authority brought to us. We're going to like use that time, we're going to like spend it on other productive things, like finding ourselves, whatever the fuck that means, or Like, I don't know, just being how humans are supposed to be. You understand? And for example, now, okay, now let's imagine now that we program a robot to be a president of a country, right? And then we infuse the robots, like we set up all the laws of the country and then we like upload it into like the software of the robots, and the robot knows everything, right? This is the law. This is how the a country is supposed to go. Like, imagine that robots, all the countries in the world had robots for presidents. Wouldn't that make sense? Like, all the movies that we have seen where like more intelligent aliens came to Earth and tried to like cheat. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie where like these aliens that look like literal demons, or should I say, like the aliens were red in color, and they had horns and they like devil wings, but they are not like they were the devil. Like, I've forgotten the name of the movie, and they came to Earth and then they turned Earth from this violent planet to a very peaceful planet and very productive planet where there was zero crime and everybody was just doing everything that they were supposed to do. Everything was progressive. You understand? Like all the movies that we have seen where things like that happen, um, there's always it's always beneficial to humans. So imagine that we have robots for presidents, right? Robots that are not going to they don't even need to steal money. Like, we always there is this talk about taking money out of politics, because obviously money is the incentive. Like, we know that politicians, one of the reasons that they get into politics is because there's money involved, and they tend to make a lot of money from it. Not that they're not getting into politics because they actually care and they want to like change, make society better, and they want to like change things that are not working properly. They get into politics because of the money involved in it, right? Look at someone like AOC now. I remember when she was running to be a senator, right? She seemed genuine, and she seemed like she had like a right head on her shoulders, right? But then she got into office and she's turned into this odd, weird person that just spews nonsense, basically. So we know that one of the incentives for getting into politics is the money that you make from it. But now imagine that there is no money made from it because the people, the should I say, the entities, the figures running the figures that are the politicians, the figures running the government are actual AI systems that they don't need to get paid. They don't even need to sleep. They don't even need like a fucking government house or White House. They don't like the laws that they make, the policies that they create, their their ideals and their ideologies all work towards making humanity better. Wouldn't that make more sense? Imagine robots, like there's this not a documentary, there's this video I saw on YouTube about this new farming technological system where like it's AI that is running like the farm. Imagine AI running a farm where the robots, like the robot tractors, like they're able to like with pinpoint accuracy spray like the perfect amount of fertilizer, because obviously fertilizer is very very expensive, right? And then they're just able to take care of the farm precisely more than any human being could have ever done, right? Imagine that AI systems, imagine that robots run the world in every aspect of our lives. Life would be easy, life would be more productive, but at what cost? Let's just be realistic for 1 second. At what cost? Let's just look at what will human beings actually do. Like, if AI systems like had all the jobs, all the good jobs, and all the how will I put it now, all the like, let's just say all the good jobs, all the things that humans thought um added value to their lives and added purpose to their life, right? To their lives. And then all these jobs now are now being run by robots. What then will the humans be doing? Like, how long will we find like how long will we be satisfied, or how long will we be okay with finding ourselves? Like, will we still like what if we, or another question now is, let's take, like, for example, now the medical system. Imagine that your doctor is a robot. So is it that there will not be any, like, what then will be the point of school exactly? What then will be the point of school? Like, are we going, what will people now be studying in school? Like, what will kids be studying in school? And what will they now grow up to be? Is it that the robot will be so intelligent to create another kind of job, or should I say another kind of like infrastructure that is solely catered to biological humans? Like, is it that there'll be another thing that there'll be another thing that humans will be assigned to do that is solely for humans? And then what if that thing now becomes imperfect, where, because obviously humans are imperfect beings, and so then they fuck it up? Would that one also be taken over by robots just to make it perfect and beneficial to all humans? Like, how far are we willing to take the fact that how far are we willing to take this? Because we're in the early system, we're in the early stages, rather, we are in the early stages of getting there with this whole chat GTP stuff, and open AI, and Boston Dynamics with their robots, and all this stuff that's happening right now. Like, we're in the early stages of it, and 5 years from now, 10 years from now, like, we're going to look back at this period, and as in, we don't even know how far, we don't even know what is going to happen like 5 years from now, and 10 years from now. We don't know how far we could, like, imagine imagine someone from 2003. Just imagine, just take someone from 2003 and then show them the iPhone 14. Just show them the iPhone 14, or show them a Tesla, or show them like fucking chat GTP. This is someone from 2003. Now let's take it a step further. Like, take someone from 1960s, take someone from 1920s, take someone from like the 1800s, and then show them how far we have come. Their minds are quite literally going to be blown. And imagine imagine how our minds will be blown 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, because 2003 was just like 20 years ago, right? If I'm if I'm correct, yeah, 20 years ago. And imagine what life is going to be like 20 years from now. That's going to be fucking wild, man. That is going to be absolutely unrecognizable. Like, you it's going to be absolutely unrecognizable. Like, a lot is going to change. A lot, like, right now, right? I used to feel like, oh, I was this tech savvy guy. Like, I'm always up to date with things that are happening in the technological world. Like, do you remember when there was a time when Facebook became like the social media for old people, right? Like, youngins were no longer like, well, you're no younger. What am I saying? Youngins were no longer using Facebook, because to them Facebook was like, oh, is what my parents use, is what my grandma uses, and so like Instagram was the new thing, and then it was for a while it was no longer, as in, it seemed to no longer be Instagram. It was not like Snapchat. It was not like there's so many social media platforms that sprung up and then died off. And now the new thing now is like TikTok. Now everybody's now on TikTok. TikTok is now like the new thing now. So but it's going to get to a point, believe it or not, it's going to get to a point where TikTok will be the social media for old people. And then I wonder what the new thing would be. Like, human beings just keep progressing and progressing and progressing and progressing, and making new things and making new shit and making new stuff, and it never ends. It never ends. And that's fascinating. That's equally as fascinating as it is scary, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm always talking. I'm always trying to sound deep, and I'm always trying to sound like, I know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I don't know shit, man. The day you realize that you don't know shit, and the day you realize that you don't know shit, that day is the day you'll be free. So yeah, based on everything that I've talked about, man, I hope that wherever it is that humanity is headed, we're headed in the right direction, because if we fuck things up, it's going to be absolutely detrimental to us. But on the other hand, I appreciate and I embrace it, because at least it's going to make life easy for us. It's going to make life easy. If there is a robot uprising, the only thing you're just going to do is just like turn off electricity, and that's the end of it. So yeah, I believe that's all I have for today. I'm glad that I actually made this episode, man. Like, I'm actually glad that I actually forced. I know I always talk about forcing myself, because I'm a very I procrastinate a lot. Like, I'm the king of procrastination. So the fact that I'm 1 hour 6 minutes in, and I've already done this stuff, and I don't like feeling like I'm forcing myself, like I'm forcing myself to do it. This is something that I actually enjoy doing. Like, just being just lying in bed, my laptop is in front of me, I have my microphone, the light is off. If it was when I used to smoke, like, I'll have a blunt with me. I have a beer and stuff. Like, I just chill and just talk about stuff that I find interesting and fascinating and concerning. In this case, um, it's something that I actually really, for real, enjoy. But then that initial resistance that I talked about earlier, that's always there at the back of my mind, telling me, "Wouldn't you rather just watch Netflix? Wouldn't you rather just be lazy and unproductive and just do nothing, rather than like forcing yourself to do this thing that you actually enjoy, right?" So yeah, this it's weird, man. Look, listen, this is the 20th episode. This is the third time I'm saying it now. I am in my 20th episode, and a wise man once said, keep putting out content, keep pumping those numbers. Those are rookie numbers. You have to keep pumping, you have to like keep pumping, pushing the numbers, man. And as and if you keep doing it, it get to a point where the universe would have to take notice of your efforts. Like, as in, the more you do something, the better you are at it, and um the closer your reward for it, like the closer the reward for it gets. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I'm just doing this because I love doing it. It's not like I want recognition or I want to be rewarded or anything like that. It's not even that I get a lot of listeners. I get like one or two listeners every time. And to that one person that listens to the episode all the time, kudos to you, bro. Kudos to you. Thanks. So yeah, I've talked a lot today, and it's wild that this is the 20th episode. So uh, that's all I have. I don't know what else I don't know what else I have to say for this being the 20th episode. But it's cool. It's really cool. So yeah, that's that about that, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for chilling with me and giving me your listening ears. Um, I hope you guys have a productive week ahead, and don't forget to rate the podcast. Don't forget to like follow me on Twitter and send me an email, and then tell me what you think about the episode. And yeah, I don't know, am I missing anything? Is there something else I want to say that I'm going to like punch myself for not remembering? I'm going to like punch myself tomorrow for not remembering. I don't I cannot think of anything for now. But the story so far is that, thank you guys for listening and sticking with me. And yeah, like I said before, just don't forget to rate the podcast, and follow me on Twitter at General Prime One, and then send me an email. Everything will be in the description. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys next week. All right, bye everybody.